That's what I want to believe.
Yes,
So yeah, how's everyone doing?
good. Well, I just got literally 10 minutes ago. Just got done watching a 1995 Mortal Kombat for the first time.
Nice.
I mean, Will, I'm going to say this with all the love intended for my small four-legged child. My dog could have died, and I would still have had a better time than you watching Pixels.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I have.
Tell us more about that
Yeah.
experience. Like, please relive this trauma for our viewers and mostly us.
So a little background, a slight personal background. My roommate in college, my very first roommate, was a huge Adam Sandler fan, and like that was his way to like
His personality? Gotcha. Okay.
got his personality. So I had to watch a lot of Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison. Like just it was constantly on the DVD player, constantly playing. So like I really like I never need to see another Adam Sandler adjacent film again. Coupled with the fact that the creator of Pac-Man is in this film. The creator of Pac-Man
Oh,
just comes in. I'm like, what? Like really? Like it's so. I mean, it's his typical film wrapped up in the worst sort of idea of what it means to be a person who games. Like it. The closest equivalent I have is the description, like the idea of in Kill Bill Volume 2, when Bill explains to the bride, Beatrix Kiddo, like Clark Kent, the idea of that's what Superman thinks we are. Like Pixels, the idea that's what they think gamers are. Like that is what they believe about people who decide to play video games. And like if there had just been a bunch of knockoff stuff, I'd be like, yeah, you did it. But they just threw a bunch of money at studios, and they're like, hey, whatever. You want to use Cubert? You want to use Duck Hunt Dog? Sure, have them. Have at it.
Now, here's a question though, for similar, just comparison sakes. Will, have you seen Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet?
I have not seen this. I've seen the first one, not the second one. No, I haven't seen it.
Buzz, have you actually watched Pixels?
Yeah.
My condolences to both of you.
I have not.
I know that Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet is kind of a similar vein in so much as it is just like, look, we bought all of these rights.
Yeah, I mean, Wreck-It Ralph 2 kind of, it veers off course because you there's so much you could do with like video games meets internet, and especially bringing it up to speed, not sticking it in like the arcade realm. And it kind of just turns into like a Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, like
Reddit kind of mess.
Yeah, totally. It's like every internet meme you've heard of in the last 20 years, like makes a brief appearance. And I'm like, we didn't even need video game characters to make this movie.
Womp womp.
I know.
That's upsetting. So that was a wash, is what you're essentially saying.
I mean, I have very low thoughts about video game movies. I think I've generally been disappointed. This did not change that opinion in any way. In any way.
I'll give that to you because I have not seen Michael Fassbender's Assassin's Creed, but I have seen, bless him, Jake Gyllenhaal's Prince of Persia and the new Tomb Raider movie, which were not the best. But Connor, you saw Mortal Kombat, the 1980. How was that for you?
Listen. Let me just get it out of the way. It's a terrible movie. It is a really, really bad movie. But I love it.
Okay, so
it is the definition of a guilty pleasure.
Okay,
you look up the word guilty pleasure in a dictionary, you should see a poster for Mortal Kombat.
So it's kind of like reinstating our faith in video game movies. Michelle, did you actually end up watching?
I didn't. I just got it today. So I'm gonna watch it.
So you're still going to watch it?
Oh yeah.
What is it?
The Super Mario
is
Brothers
Super
movie.
Mario Brothers, which is a really bad movie that I love. It's the nostalgia. I haven't actually seen it in a very long time, but I'm sure it'll be as bad as I remember, so I'm excited. But I love it.
It's true.
I
Did you
remem-
play? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Nope.
All I was gonna say is I remember the cartoon growing up in the little live action show they did with Captain Lou
Yes.
Albano.
Yeah.
And that's all I wanted from the film. That was everything I wanted. When I begged to go see that film when it was in theater, like, yeah, more. And then I saw that.
So there's an interesting posit. So like I rewatched The Witcher, which was great, but I also watched Sonic the Hedgehog, the live action film for this.
Which was
But I grew up watching Sonic the Hedgehog Saturday AM cartoons with like Sonic and Mobius and the princess and everything, which was animated, like you just said, Will. So like the animated movies for video game adaptations have really are really like pinnacles in my mind. Like I have the, thank you, Buzz, DVD box set of The Legend of Zelda animated features.
Say
And
it.
you
Yep, say it.
know, excuse me, you princess.
Now we get to-
There you go. But like, so you said that like the live action has really disappointed you. Like, would you say the same for the animated adaptations?
I mean,
Pixels notwithstanding.
notwithstanding. So a lot of those, there's a lot of like rose tinted nostalgia as a kid. Like I would be terrified. Like I got burned once, and that was with Thundercats, where I went back to watch Thundercats, where I thought Thundercats was the pinnacle of animation, the pinnacle of storytelling. I found out at one point before I started watching it again, J. Michael Straczynski wrote some episodes, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be. And then I put it on, and then I put it on, and I was like, no.
I did that once too. Yeah, I watched Thundercats like as an adult, and I was like, oh
Oh no.
no.
You should watch He-Man.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh
That
yeah.
is
G.I. Joe.
I have the power.
I have
I
said
love the G.I. Joe movie, the first one, the live action one.
No, not the live action one.
No, it's really good.
I like the
because-
second one. I like the second live action one.
No, bad. Just the first one. Because I had very low expectations and it met those very low expectations and I had a good time.
If Snake Eyes can do the same,
Yes.
So what are the
Snake Eyes
other-
movie can do the same.
Yeah. What are the other video game movies that everybody else watched?
I watched Advent Children
Oh my.
because I wanted to watch a good movie of something that I've actually
I like
seen.
never expected Kate Sith to have a strong Scottish accent. Like when I played through Final Fantasy VII, the game, I never picked up on that. And I don't know if it was just me not paying attention, but then I watched that movie and I'm like, what? Like the F is Sean Connery doing here voicing this cat? Like
Oh, see,
anybody
I
else?
only watched it in Japanese, so I don't know.
Oh, see, I watched it in both, and I just because I wanted to see how the English voices sound, right? And that really threw me because I was like, and like nothing about the character reads like Scottish, like
isn't
when
that
he-
Gaelic though? Kate Sith? Is that like a Gaelic?
yeah, definitely. It's I mean, but
That's
but
Irish.
you would think an Irish accent then, right? Yeah, and more weird too. Reeve, the guy who controls him, doesn't have an accent, and he's like the puppet master. That's supposed to be his voice. So it's like even more confusing. Is it Reeve? It is Reeve, right?
I think so.
It's Reeve.
Yeah. So that just threw me for such a loop when I watched that movie. That and the lip sync was really bad in the English dub.
I remember the Advent Children that I have is actually like a burned copy of the original that I borrowed from one of my girlfriends in high school. And I think so high school was a moment ago. And I think even 5 years ago, she has like 3 kids now and is married and has like a beautiful house in the suburb. She contacted me on Facebook and was like, "So where's my copy of Advent Children?" Like, she is serious about getting this back. Thankfully, I haven't thrown it away because I think she'd put a curse on me. Alon, what did you watch?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
I watched Dragon Quest: Your Story.
Oh my God, how was
I
it?
really, that one's so good.
I watched it for the first time at the start of the pandemic of last year. And I watched it like 3 times. Because of that movie, I bought the first 3 Dragon Quest games on the Switch, played the first 2 already. No, excuse me, played and finished the first one, and in the middle of the second one.
You've just gone up in Buzz's estimation, I guarantee you.
That's one of, if not my favorite game series. And I really like that movie because it's a very fun take on like Hand of the Heavenly Brides, the game it's based on, the 5th one. Now, if you can get a copy of the 5th one, you should definitely play it if you like the movie. It's very similar and it's really fun. The only problem is Nintendo's not making 4, 5, and 6 anymore, those cartridges, and they're only on the DS, and you can't get a hold of them anywhere. So like, this is a time to where it's okay just to pirate Nintendo games.
I've done some
Hypothetically.
research. Apparently, there's a PS2 version out there with like with images that move similar to like the way how the last installment of Emerald and Beyond were some. No, it's more like the 5th generation of Pokemon where all the sprites were moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a PS2 version out there, so I'm looking out for that and the DS version because I really want to play that particular story because that movie was my first introduction to Dragon Quest, and I was just like, man, this story is so humbling.
It's really good. It's one of those amazing ones where you're like, oh, this is how you tell a story if you're gaming. And it's one of the first games too where I ever grinded all of my party members up to like level 99 before the final boss because I was just so into it. It's chef's kiss.
So I gotta ask real fast, with regards to the port they did for the PlayStation, because I remember the port they did. Because at that point we're talking Square Enix at this point, right? Like by the time of PlayStation 2.
Well, wait. So Dragon Quest V first came out on the Super NES, and it was under the license of Enix and Bird Armor Studios. That was a cartridge. They ported it to the PS2 because it was such a hit. It was the best-selling Dragon Quest game in Japan ever. So they took it up and went there. 6 kind of actually took the series back a smidgen. So they then ported it to the PS2 because it was so popular. And then we finally got a DS remake when they started doing the remakes for 4, 5, and 6 and 7 on the 3DS. And that's when we actually started getting the subtitles from the Japanese names too. Because before in the US, it used to just be called Dragon Warrior because Dragon Quest was already taken by a pen and paper tabletop game. So there was a copyright issue. So if you have the Game Boy versions of Dragon Warrior, that's why Dragon Warrior was called that.
All right. I was only curious because I remember the remakes, the ports for Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI for the PlayStation 1, which were authentic copies, except for whenever you went to a menu, there's ridiculous loading times.
Yes.
I was hoping you got to avoid that in these ports.
Yeah, and you do. They're remastered on the DS too. So if you get the DS version, they are highly optimized and they really made good use of the top and bottom screens for menu and combat. So that's the way to play them.
I mean, really, just shout outs to the DS for being just like an ace of a game system.
But when are we gonna get that library on the Switch?
I almost want to see what games that they port to the monthly like SNES and NES. Like what games that like no one played. Did we
I'm
get
sorry,
this?
hold on, stop. There's going to be a monthly SNES service? You are muted, and I need you to unmute because I need to hear this information.
No, I'm talking about the stuff you get from having like the paying for Switch
Okay.
Online. Like those games, that library.
Okay.
You know?
I was worried for a moment. I was like, what is this information? You just shared that Dragon Age 2 link with me earlier today, so I was like, what other information is William hiding?
But going back to the Dragon Quest Your Story, is that like one of those Netflix choose your own adventure things?
No. It's its own standalone movie.
It came out in theaters in Japan, I think a year and a half ago, and then we got it as an OVA on Netflix because Netflix picked it up and brought it here for us.
Okay.
It was only a year and a half ago?
I think it coincided with Dragon Quest VR, which was an experience in Japan at a couple different locations where you could go and put on a full like backpack, helmet, and two handheld items, and you could pick your class and you go out with 3 friends and do a dungeon adventure in a complete VR warehouse as the Dragon Quest party. So like one person be the cleric, like the priest, one person be the mage, somebody was the Yusha or the hero, and then like somebody else be the warrior, and like you'd go around and like fight slimes and stuff.
I am honestly shocked that you did not have like 2 of us join you in Japan for this.
I mean, I would, if I had money, it'd be great. If I had $1 million.
If I had, wait, Dimitri, what did you watch?
I didn't do my homework as well as you guys did. The last like video game movie I saw was Pokemon Detective Pikachu. It was I know, I the easy route, right? But no,
typical, but also that's a great movie.
It is a great movie. I've seen a lot. Looking back, I've seen probably a lot of like video game movies, like even like Doom and like the 2009 Tekken movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. That one's not good at all.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know, Gus, I don't know if you remember, but a while ago when I was younger, we watched one of the Silent Hill movies.
So yesterday, gotcha.
Yeah.
No, thanks.
What did we watch? Did you watch Exorcist when you were young? Oh,
That explains so much.
the scariest movie of all time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
fine.
Silent Hill, great movie.
I saw Silent
Terrible
Hill.
ending, but great movie.
I don't remember much, but no, I want to watch that one. I think I saw it with Gus when I was younger. I can't remember.
No, I think we saw one of the dumbest movies I've ever. This is like Battleship. I think was it Battleship?
Oh my God. I saw that one too.
With Rihanna, because that's one of my dad's favorite movies.
I'm sorry, it's not my favorite.
Like,
I mean,
unironically, constantly references it as one of his favorite movies.
is it Battleship? I don't remember what it was.
Oh, you're right.
No, I don't know what it was. It was something bad.
Battleship.
It was like a Michael Bay film with the like serial numbers filed off. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It came out around the same time as like Battlefield LA or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
It came out in 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has 34% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Listen,
it's
pretty
not
high.
good.
Don't listen to Rotten Tomatoes. How dare you?
Yeah. I saw
Under
Silent Hill.
reference.
Yeah, Silent Hill was all right. I don't know about the ending. If you want to talk about bad endings, watch the movie called The Mist.
Oh man, that's
You guys ever see that?
ending.
That and The Village, like,
the heck was
still
that?
put me in a rage. But those are not video game movies.
I know. That's not.
One cool thing about Silent Hill is that for the main character, and I think a couple other characters, the costuming department had like 52 copies of that outfit. And each one was slightly dyed a little bit rustier and darker colored, so that over the course of the film, as you watch it, they look more washed out and gray because they're being stuck in Silent Hill.
That's amazing. That's attention to detail.
That movie actually has a lot of really cool, like behind the scenes, how they did it sort of stuff going on, because it was a little bit ahead of its time with like all the CGI of like the town flipping back and forth a lot. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. That I watched the behind the scenes on that because I bought the DVD at Target when I was like, when that movie first came out, and I was like, oh, let's check this out. And I was like, oh wow, they really thought about this for a video game movie.
Yeah.
Listen, still a better behind the scenes than Game of Thrones.
all right. Now we got it, because that could go down a path. I guess if I were to be for maybe a more hopeful question, is there any like current franchise now you would like to see made into a film?
I mean, My hopes and dreams have been answered. The Last of Us.
I think they
I-
will. Uncharted. huh?
Always. Uncharted. I think that's being made into a movie. I think Tom Holland actually talked about.
Yeah.
They made like that trailer. Did you guys ever see that like 10-minute Uncharted movie?
It's coming out in 2022 with Tom Holland as
Nathan Drake.
Nathan Drake, even though I was so excited for Nathan Fillion. I thought he was,
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's him. That's his role. You know.
he fought for it tooth and nail, and I thought he was getting into character, but it turns out he is the rookie cop or something like that,
Mhm.
which is a whatever TV show, but I really hoped that he was going to be Nathan Drake.
I think they've already done it, but I'd like to see them do it again and better. Would be a Yakuza movie and have it be kind of like a wire fu, kind of like over the top sort of thing, kind of like a throwback to like that style of like wuxia films, but also like keep kind of the comedy and goofiness of the series.
Of course, you'd want Yakuza.
It's so much fun. I think that'd be actually a really fun movie because like you could do a lot of goofy stuff with it, but also have like serious beats because the series was really good at that already.
I mean, you're not wrong. I think it'd be good. Will.
So I do think we're actually getting something that I have a little bit excited about. And that'd be the Dynasty Warriors film that is coming out soon. Like just straight up, like hundreds of mooks and random people getting wrecked by around Hulao Gate. And I've seen the like early Lubu scenes, and I am so very excited for that because I think everything can be made better with Muso.
Are they giving Zhang Ho his fans back, or is this just going to be the downward spiral for the series?
If I see him with a pair of swords, I'm not gonna really tolerate it. Everyone has to have authentic weapons. Like so far, we've only seen sword folk. So we've seen the Liu Beis, the Cao Cao's, we've seen Lubu, and obviously gonna have the, the halberd. We've seen the horse thief Guan Yu. So don't know yet. Because I've always seen halberds of swords. I don't see any of the like third tier unique weapons stuff on people.
There.
They better be there.
Dimitri, Alon, are you looking for like a Fortnite movie to come
Call
along?
of Duty, right?
Like Call of Duty or what is it,
What?
Destiny?
I can't believe this.
No,
So
you know,
much
you know what
disrespect.
Dimitri wants? You know what he wants to see? He wants to see a live action movie, that KFC game. That's what he wants.
Oh, heck no.
A KFC like 2-hour movie. That's what he wants.
I
Epic.
had just had a flashback to that game earlier today. And
No.
now you're putting me through this again.
No. Honestly, I think like you guys asked that question. I think the first thing that came to mind was The Witcher, but I don't know. That series is too good. I think you guys should watch it, but I can't think of anything else.
I love it. I'm so excited for the fact that the second season just stopped filming. Like, have you listened to or read any of the books?
No. I played the one that came out.
Witcher
Was
3?
it 3? Yeah.
Yeah.
When it came out, like 2015, I think. Yeah.
I am still playing through that. It is amazing. I know, Buzz, when you played it, you talked for so long about it. It's probably why I didn't play it for that long, but that's right. What do you like about
you come in here and you blame me for this stuff just because I give Sarah, okay, pause. I give Sarah recommendations all the time. I literally will call this person up on the phone. See, Michelle, I didn't swear that time. I'm editing myself. The new regimen's working. And I will give her so many recommendations, and then she'll come back to me 10 years later and go, well, I'm playing The Witcher. You're right. It is pretty good. I'm like, girl, what time capsule did you get lost in? It's like the Brady Bunch movie every time with her. I'm like, the 1970s happened. You can let it go. Buy yourself a video game console.
Listen, there are 3 bathrooms in this house, not a toilet in any of them. Come on now. The Brady Bunch. That's the reference. Don't look at me like that.
Yeah, I've kind of given. I want to say given up, but like I've now understand that it's just gonna take a while. Like I know that you've got a backlog upon a backlog. Like the other day, you were asking about westerns. They're like, man, I was thinking in my head, you should really watch Warrior. I think that series is great on HBO Max. Like it's amazing. It's a western, but it's not a western quite. It's like a nice blend, and it's like the way kung fu was supposed to be, as written by Bruce Lee. But ultimately, I know, like I tell you about it, and you'd be like, "Wow, that sounds really cool," and then you just go put it in the back somewhere, and I'd be like, "Okay, well,
Yes, let's all
Wow,
come for the
wait,
fact that Sarah doesn't do what we tell her to do.
Hold on a hot second. Can we also just appreciate that Will, you're coming at me.
no,
What is
no,
this?
that's not."
Has Buzz fired you up? What's next? Dimitri's going to speak
He's
up?
mad.
What's happening here?
He's mad.
This, no.
Also, I would like it the record to be shown you never said anything about Warriors when I was asking for recommendations.
It's just Warrior without the S, and it's very good.
It's very.
Not that you're going to take our advice.
What do you
No,
think?
I watched this lovely show on Netflix. It was great. Maybe I'll watch Warrior. Singular. Listen, I'm a late adapter. I only have one game system. If it's not Nintendo, I'm not buying it right away. I did put Manhunter in my game system though recently. Thank you very much. It's amazing. I will also say Buzz recommended it like 2 years before.
So, I guess the thing I want to ask, because like Sarah, you said you're really excited about The Last of Us, right? Like you were saying you're really excited as an adaptation.
Yes.
But I mean, Last of Us and Uncharted, those specifically those two games, like those Naughty Dog games, are so like they're attempting that cinematic feel already.
Yes.
What do you think there's going to be something extra that you will get from them being, instead of like being a game, being an actual?
No. I think my interest in The Last of Us is the fact that like I will consume any post-apocalyptic like human survival scenario content that I possibly can. That is my genre. I will consume it in book format, in video game, in movie, in audiobook, which I arguably don't like a lot. Like that is just my jam. I made Buzz play the first and second Last of Us. I arguably have been talking it up to you, William, who is self-proclaimed does not like this game system or this video game series. I could not make myself get through the second Last of Us. I turned it on yesterday and played 3 minutes of it and remembered how much of a slog it was to get through and how punishing it was, and turned it off. I like the stories though. I like even though that it's very, again, like you said, like the Naughty Dog franchises are all very much movies in and of themselves. Like you're really just there to press B. You have no control over where the story takes you. The choices you make in these games does not affect the outcome. You arguably do not have choices. I still really like where they're taking me, except for that Last of Us. Also, I have not finished the Uncharted franchise, so Nathan Drake is still kind of novel to me.
I just hope they do something different. Let me throw that out there. Or do something a little different with the storyline. Because like I'll probably end up watching it just because I did play the games, like Sarah said. I hope they take it a little somewhere different. If it's just kind of a rehash of the first story and then somewhat of the second one, depending on how far they go with it, it might not be that interesting. I can't see people who didn't play the games not wanting to watch it. You know what I mean?
What I don't understand is they're trying to remake the game for the PS5. Like not just remaster, remake.
Using the engine from 2? Like, is that like the idea or?
I honestly don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, the piece I saw about it was really like framing it as Sony not willing to really take any risks at this point. Like they
Yeah.
just want games that are guaranteed, to the point where like Days Gone, which like I don't know how much everyone else knows about that series, but like the critical reviews of that game were like middling at best, but the kind of fan base for that game really loved their like zombies meets Sons of Anarchy thing that they were doing. And that studio was essentially told, nah, y'all not making another one of these games. You go ahead and work on that Last of Us. You go make that happen.
Even though it's the what is it? Days Gone is now like April's one of the April's free games, and it has made wild acclaim. Like has been met with just amazing, like you said, fan base approval. Further, like even more people are approved of it.
Sony though has been kind of taking a defensive posture lately. Like I keep wondering, I'm like, is there going to be something for the PS5 coming out that I want to play that's PS5 specific anytime soon? Like I've been playing a lot of PS4 games on the old PS5. Like I'm really excited for Nier next week, the remake that they did of the original Nier. I'm like, ooh, I love that game. I can't wait. This is very exciting. But I'm like, again, this is a PS4 game I'll be playing on my PS5. Like,
Well, you gotta wonder too, like how much of it, like, were they ready with the PS5 app, like, even before COVID struck, and they just pushed that release forward because they knew other things were also in the works, and then they just didn't have any games that they were finished working on in 2020 enough to the point where they could work through it in COVID.
I don't know. I know a lot of games like have like straddled the line, right? Like a Dragon, they just did the PS5 free upgrade for that. They're doing the Final Fantasy VII remakes, getting the PS5 like polished in a little bit, which that's exciting.
Yes.
And I tried It Takes Two, which was a PS4/PS5 game this week, which was interesting.
Sounds terrifying.
It is. It's not a kid's game, even
Yeah,
though it looks like one.
Well, they did talk about this on Waypoint Radio for like a hot second, but I was not prepared for Buzz's review of this game.
I went in blind with a friend who really wanted to play it, so we both bought a copy and played online, and I was like, oh, okay. So we're straight up like murdering a sentient toy here as it begs for its life, and we both have to agree to kill it.
Oh.
I wasn't expecting any of that. I also wasn't expecting like the level of profanity in it either. I was like, I really thought this was gonna be like a kid's like kind of like, oh, 2-person puzzles, that's fun. It is fun. The puzzles are good. It does a lot of parodying of other genres. Like we've had a Street Fighter level, we've had a Halo Gears of War level, a Diablo level. Like there's lots of cool stuff going on there, and lots of like neat asymmetrical powers that like one person can like shrink really small and the other person can like walk up a ceiling and you have to do puzzles. It's very fun, but it's also I was like, holy crap, we literally just like killed something from like a Toy Story style like movie scene as it begged and pleaded for us not to literally throw it off of a cliff and kill it, as partly it was already dismembered and crying about its leg being torn off. And I was like, this game, it's not a kid's game. So I thought that was a little, like, that was very jarring. I was like, it's one of those games too, where when you play it, you can play it with strangers on the internet and you don't have to use voice chat. I can't see any way you could get through this game without verbally talking to the other person constantly to tell them what you were doing, what they should be doing. And also, I wouldn't want to do that with a stranger on the internet. Or watch the couple in the game squabble either. It is extremely dialogue heavy, and they constantly like bicker, and it's a little off-putting, and you're kind of like, it's like when you look at two strangers like bicker in public, and you're like,
I'm uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And neither of them are very likable either. You're kind of like, oh, you two. Maybe you should just get a divorce, huh?
Now, is that a PS4 5 exclusive, or is that multi? Okay.
Yeah, I think it is at least. Yeah, no, it is exclusive to the PlayStation, and it is a PS4 or PS5 like bundle. So when you buy it, no matter which system you have, and you can mix and match and play too.
Okay. I tell you, like, I don't know what they had planned for, like, in the pre-COVID release for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, but I feel like right now the Series X is just eating like the PS5's launch, especially with Game Pass. Like, oh man, like the amount of stuff, like they're able to like not only be like, yeah, we're gonna get those like MLB. I know it's something you don't care about, Buzz, don't care about sports, but like you knew in passing, you knew, oh, that's a Sony franchise. That's what Sony does. Nope. I'm gonna go ahead and take that and put it in my pocket right here. You're gonna be able to have access to all these games, like oh man. Meanwhile, like
Meanwhile, PSN still pretending over here with being like, oh, you get 3 games that are free per month.
I see games on Xbox Live I want to play all the time. I obviously don't have an Xbox anymore, but I always am like, oh, that Live Pass must be so good. And then I know Sony's got like an equivalent system where you can kind of download some games, stream some others. The streaming never works that well for me, and I have good internet as it is. So I'm always like, I'm not doing this.
PlayStation Now, which I got a free like 90-day card of. It's still not used. I'm not even thought about it. Like, why? You know.
Speaking of a Sony property, though, that borrows heavily from other video games and franchises, that would be an interesting movie adaptation, even though it's done everything else. What would a Kingdom Hearts movie and or TV series and or movie film series even look like at this point?
Well, Haley Joel Osment is definitely free, so he will show up.
Would that be like a grown adult Sora, or do you think Haley Joel Osment could still pass off as a 20-year-old? Let's push it.
He's like 40, but
listen, Hollywood is a place and he is a man, so he could play a 20-year-old.
Sure, Sarah.
You know what? Don't.
And you could.
I saw that look. How dare you?
You could play a high schooler, and let's just really get into the land of make believe. I'll play a 12-year-old. Like, come on now.
I don't know. You shaved. It looks the same.
I am trying to imagine the room where you go and pitch the Disney Corp. All right, why don't we do a Kingdom Hearts, like whatever, animated movie, whatever. And they're like, of course, they'll be like, Kingdom Hearts, what's that? What's the story there? What's your elevator pitch? Elevator pitch?
You know for a fact that today's Disney not only knows exactly what Kingdom Hearts is because they have paid for that franchise, but like this is also the Disney that has Deadpool in its pocket, that has the Mandalorian, that has the Winter Soldier. It is expanding into so many other avenues that it was, I mean, even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, the Disney of 5 years ago would not recognize the Disney of today, I would argue. So you could definitely pitch that Kingdom Hearts franchise. You could pitch it as like a, HBO has its Game of Thrones, Netflix has The Witcher. Disney Plus could certainly have a Kingdom Hearts series to kind of like tag along within that fantasy vein. But Buzz, I know you're gonna dispute my entire sentence.
Yeah, because you're whack.
What?
Because the whole point of please. Oh, shall I? I'll dress her down.
You go ahead. Please.
Yeah, because the whole point of Kingdom Hearts is you're going through and you're visiting like, kind of alien visitor style, these different Disney movies. And you kind of like buzz in like overhead on like your little gummy ship. You see the story and then you're kind of like in the background though. You're like, all right, we put this one back on canon, and then you get the hell out of there. So how would you make that into a TV series though? That'd be really difficult because the whole like.
You do the second game.
The second one?
Second game.
So here's where the problems are going to start. Yeah. Which second game? Are we talking about Chain of Memories? Are we talking about 365 in 2 days?
No, the second one. 2.
Are we talking?
I like 2, but 2 also messes with the canon of other movies because like we had other things come back in and like like Disney is so bizarre about like what they will and will not allow that it's like weird that we got Kingdom Hearts to begin with. Like when you kind of think about it.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking of it kind of like a Once Upon a Time kind of franchise, even though Once Upon a Time now would never be Disney sanctioned because it what is the proper word for this? It messes up the canon of all of these like Disney franchise properties.
I could see them doing like an Advent Children with it, where they do like a 90-minute movie and it's mostly the Square Enix crew and maybe Donald and Goofy are there. And it's like all about Sora and Riku and
Don't pretend
Roxy.
like you put out these people's names.
I'm trying to remember their names. Kyrie, that's the S. I couldn't remember Roxas for a minute there. I was trying to figure out. I couldn't remember. I'm like, it's just Sora with an X.
Right.
Axel.
I really want to see them get into like the nitty gritty of Heartless and Nobodies. Like, oh man, you've got this moment where you're like the Heartless, and then you become the Nobody. Like,
You just want to be like, look, children, existentialism. It's fair enough. So you don't think Kingdom Hearts would make a good franchise? What about, I mean, what's next? You gonna tell me Dragon Age is a bad choice too?
that's just gonna break your heart. That's what I'm gonna tell
Soft
you right
pitch.
there.
It was a soft pitch. I knew it.
It's gonna break your heart.
How dare you?
Like I could see, actually, I could see Dragon, like the kind of Dragon Age 2 reminds me of the old like syndicated fantasy shows like Xena or Hercules. Oh, because you got the same set and you just keep going to the same place every week to do some adventure. That I could see.
The article that you sent me where they talked about how budget cuts made it so that they just had to completely strip mine the script that they had made so much sense. Like, I don't even think I'd even read that originally when I played the game. I thought that like my game was faulty and just had not recorded like the choices that I had made. But that makes so much sense. And the idea of having that play out in a TV series, in any form of film, is fine.
I just think it's another example of the victory of the Snyder Cut. Because look at that, like it's trying to piggyback the popularity of that thing.
So I talked about this recently too. The fact that director cuts are essentially now being labeled Snyder cuts is interesting to me.
Video game podcast, Sarah. Save it for your comic book week. Video game podcast, Sarah.
How dare you?
You
don't even go to comic book club.
That's because I'm only half a nerd. Yeah.
Rude. Hashtag rude. Does anybody else have any other franchise that they think would make a great film or TV adaptation? Besides for Doom, which we all know was the pinnacle of TV movie adaptations.
Oh,
I said what I said.
done. I have a couple. Two of which have already been done, but they need to be done correctly. Assassin's Creed, done correctly. If it's done correctly, unlike that disaster. Max Payne could be one, but again, that needs to be done correctly, unlike that Mark Wahlberg train wreck.
Well, I have bad news for you. Mark Wahlberg is definitely in that Uncharted movie.
I love Mark Wahlberg. He can't control the quality of the movie.
And then my other question is, how excited are we for the Metal Gear Solid?
I'm excited for Metal Gear Solid. But, well, I have The other one that I was going to bring up is actually one that I'm playing right now, and that's Life is Strange. Life is Strange, I think, could potentially make one.
I feel like there's an audience that would be all over that film.
Oh.
Like that could be your new YA teen flick. It,
Fair enough.
it just be a matter of doing it right. What you were asking about Metal Gear Solid, man, that's one I feel like there's like Metal Gear Solid is a combination of really like crazy random politics and bombastic action. And I think a film, you're probably only going to get one of those things based on the time you're given. Unless it's a TV series, then you got a chance at both. But just being a movie, yeah, you're just going to have cool action scenes, and that's all right. But like, I don't feel like I need a video game plot, like video game adjacent plot for help with that, right?
I would like to see not Mother, Metroid. That's it. I think a Metroid movie would be badass. Kind of like take it like doing like a rehash of Aliens or Alien, a la like the Ridley Scott films, because they're kind of based on that anyway. I think it could be really cool, especially like, Samus's suit done like in a live action kind of way, seeing like, the alien planets and stuff. Mother Brain would look like just totally gross and creepy. I think that'd be a cool series.
I'd be here for that. I don't think we've had that recently. Excusing the Expanse, like, has there been really like a kind of a space setting for a film or franchise recently?
I mean, it would be rehashing a lot of stuff we already see in sci-fi, but it could be done
on a
really.
lot.
It could be fun though, I think.
I think though that would.
I was about to say the Infamous series can be a good TV show.
Yeah.
I was actually playing. I managed to get my PS3 to work, and I played Infamous a little bit, and I was just being nostalgic, just walking around, and I'm like freaking out a little bit because like everyone's wearing face masks. They were using quarantine terms. I don't know if you remember much about the game, but there was like a huge like explosion that caused like everyone to get pretty much superpowers, and people were like thinking they were getting sick. So they were wearing face masks and they were quarantining each other. No one in the city, not even yourself, can leave because again you're quarantined. So something like that could be like, I don't know. People like now these days can definitely be like, I understand that. Like, yeah, I mean, at the same time too, you see also little stories happening around the city, side missions that you can do. It's almost like its own universe. I feel like it would be a good story, especially because the last game that came out for that was like 2013, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you own the the rights to it, might as well just make a movie out of it. I mean, it's been almost a decade. Do something with it. A lot of content.
No, I hear that loud and clear. Especially, I think that would be like a good use. Like, I do not want to see anything that has quarantine involved on screen, but I think that would be an acceptable kind of like segue into that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And use of quarantine. That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me, like, Infamous 2 had my like favorite use of like, oh man, you're super powered for one, you're ready to go. Oh, this giant's gonna knock you 15 states away. Good luck. Let me know how it works out for you.
I think the Left 4 Dead series would be a good show. It would be boring zombies, but I feel like the group dynamics, even if you use one or two characters, they just have such great like personalities, and it'd be kind of cool to see like the special infected.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool.
Now I got a question. What about what if we flip it around now? What about a movie that hasn't been made into a game yet? Like, I'm a big horror film guy, and I know they made like Friday the 13th into the game. Have you guys played that one?
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
That's pretty brutal. That's a brutal game.
I've never
Even,
been yelled at by kids more in my life than playing that game.
yeah, it's pretty brutal.
I mean, well, Dead by Daylight is kind of Friday the 13th.
Mhm.
Yeah, there-
Nightmare on Elm Street. That sounds like a great horror game to play.
They made that on the NES, I think, right? Or no, did they?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, I don't think that was that.
There is one.
But
Um,
yeah, what about Sarah? Would you play an Exorcist the game?
No.
Me neither. Me neither.
I think I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this anime. It's called Made in
Play a game
Abyss.
version of A Quiet Place.
Quiet. You could do that. That'd be like a sneaky kind of horror game, probably. Like there'd probably be a lot of sound meter stuff.
I'd be there for that.
Yeah. I was Made in Abyss is this anime that kind of came out, and some people were talking about it for a little bit like 4 years ago, and it hasn't really gone anywhere since, but the manga's still going. But it's written just like a video game, kind of, but without like it being on the nose like an isekai is, where it's like, oh, this is video game world, whatever. I think that would be a great video game. I'm actually surprised it never got turned into one. The whole story is basically this little girl lives on like a rim town around a giant crater, and the crater goes straight to the center of the earth. And a whole village, like city, has built stuff around the crater there of treasure hunters who go down into the abyss and bring back old artifacts that have like special powers and stuff like that. And one day a robot boy gets brought up and she saves him, and his arms can extend like grappling hooks. So they team up together because she's going to go down there and find her mother. And even though like who's been down there adventuring for her whole life. And it's like written in such a way where there's like levels to the abyss. There's almost like these like sort of things where like she writes a guidebook as she goes. It seems very much like a bestiary, and there's like healing plants, and she learns about stuff as she's going through it. And it's this really beautifully like drawn and written sort of story. But I also think it's one of those ones where like it could be turned into a video game, like, I mean, instantly. And I would also play it. It looks so good.
I'd play that. That sounds like something that they could very easily like stylize to be even better.
It's drawn kind of like the old Mega Man like art style too, kind of. Like it reminds me of like the concept art there, especially Mega Man Legends.
I'm here for that.
It's really good. That one I'm always surprised it never got picked up for something like that.
I remember we were going to get that Mega Man All Stars game, and I was so excited. Like, they were going to let you play as like Ryu in a Mega Man level, because why not? Because why not? You know, for some reason I thought of Primer. Like, I really like Primer as just like kind of a kooky, like time travel. So maybe a game that did something like that. Like, it'd be kind of probably something more of those like walking simulators, but that's fine. Like, if you told that sort of story, I think it would be interesting.
I think any like Ghibli movie would be a pretty cool video game.
It kind of did that.
Kiki would be cool.
Like, did you ever play Ninokuni?
I knew you were going to bring it up. I knew it.
Ninokuni was really cute.
Yeah, Ninokuni, because it's the Ghibli people. Ninokuni 2 was really good too, and it kind of went right under the radar. Like nobody played it.
Well, that was a weird one because it was like they didn't like the first game was the obvious like, yeah, this is a Ghibli, like, you know, this is a Ghibli production along with was it Level 5 Studios, I think that
Yeah,
worked on
it
that?
was level 5, yeah.
Level 5. In the second game, it was like, oh no, like it was very much not promoted in the same way, even though it had a lot of Ghibli people working on the game. Like, they were still there and they were still working, but it couldn't officially take that moniker. And I think that kind of undercut a lot of stuff with it. And then I know in Japan there was controversy because the main battle theme, like the main theme from Ninokuni 2, sounded a lot like the Dragon Quest theme. And it was like,
Yeah.
no, you don't. Like, you were talking about how serious Dragon Quest is. They were like, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that.
I look, if you like Ninokuni though, play Ninokuni too. That game is choice. And talk about like the Ghibli influences. Like there's like a whole like Porco Rosso reference. There's like a whole Spirited Away town. Like they really went in. It's very fun.
Been watching a lot of Ghibli, like in the background while I work. God, it's all on HBO Max.
Yeah.
I would watch a Hades TV show.
Oof.
I think it would be interesting how they could format that.
Hades, but shoot it like The Office, where it's just the characters interacting and then doing like dead on like camera stills where they're like, that Hypnos, he's just not working hard enough. And he thinks because he's related to whatever, he can do whatever he wants.
Loved Hypnos.
I'm trying to think if there's any Supergiant game I wouldn't want to see like Bastion. I'm there for it. I'll let them at least try it. Transistor. I think I like Transistor. I just don't think you can dig in as deep in like not doing it in a video game format. Like I feel like a lot of the cool stuff was what you learned about the various side characters as you digged into the programming, and it was like, oh, cool. This is what that character was before they passed away. This, that, and the other. And I don't think you can do as much of that in a television show.
I think like overall though, like the thing about video games for the most part is that they are narratives. Like there is a story to be told. There's lore, there's background information. You could delve into these characters much further than any of these games go. So like any idea of like a movie or a TV show adaptation is going to meet kind of with the same fervor as book adaptations. Like it's the content is there. The people are playing this game. We're invested in these characters. Like, yes, of course we would want more content that explores the realities that we are experiencing with these games. Like, why would we not want to?
Yeah, I want to see how Pac-Man sleeps and where he goes to the bathroom. I want that backstory.
You know that is not what I was talking about. Okay, Wario.
Let me assure you, after seeing Pixels, no, I don't need to see Pac-Man. I can't risk it. Never want to see him on screen again, ever. Weirdly enough, I'm thinking about Michelle's. Like, I think Left 4 Dead 2 Left 4 Dead franchise is the one I think that has the greatest chance for success because there's not a whole lot there's a story and there, famous monsters, but you can really expand on it easier than other franchises.
Well, you could totally do Left 4 Dead because like the comics, there's a comic that goes like into their backstories, each of the survivors. You could have like an episode be like, here's my life before it all turned upside down. I think it would be fun.
All right, you guys, it is past 8:30 and I have to take this chicken nugget outside.
Okay.
All right.
It has been real. What are we covering next episode?
No.
I don't know yet. Like I have to think about it.
So video games?
Video.
It's a good idea.
We'll start there.
I know. I thought we'd mix it up. Throw in
Games
something fresh.
Games of the video.
I will. The new Mortal Kombat comes out next Friday.
Yeah.
So I will be watching that. I'll be watching that. And I'll be watching Annihilation.
We could talk maybe a little bit about that Mortal Kombat because I'm
kind of excited. I watched the previews and
they're giving us fatalities.
They're missing one thing. They're missing yelling dude. That's the only thing I need. Like he needs to yell it. They actually did an article.
I just hope they have that. Actually, we know they released a little bit of the music and listen to it, and they are going to have variations of that theme song, of that theme score. So yeah,
I want the guy who goes like, whoopsie, like when you like hit the guy the wrong way or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh man. That was from 2. Like the random person who would pop on the side.
That was like the best though. Like that was like when the game was finally like self-aware. I was like, yeah, we can be a little campy with this. Why not? Like it's a ridiculous game anyway.
You can kill people or you can give them a present and call it friendship. Like, because
Yeah.
why not?
I mean, come on now.
Oh man, I just hope they don't. I just hope they don't. They don't do Sub-Zero. It looks like they're not gonna do Sub-Zero and Scorpion dirty like they did. They did in the 19 version.
I mean, you'll find
They
out
did them
next
dirty.
week, and I expect a full
Yep.
report.
Yes. Okay.
All right, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
Night, y'all.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.
Buddy.
Bye bye.